You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Bill. This is Sean from Threnody, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. And please, folks, do me a huge favor. Go and support BODS Mayhem Hour's YouTube page. Just takes 2 seconds to go, click and subscribe, and click that notification bell to get all the stuff that's coming up forward for BODS Mayhem Hour. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming up down the pipe for us. So please don't forget to support me and go out and support Threnody. You can find them easily. I think they're Threnody US Grindcore, and I'll have all their stuff in this interview once it posts. Support this band too, because we don't have too many old school death metal bands out there to this day. You know, they're still doing what they're supposed to be doing. But anyway, I want to welcome Bill Hyland and Sean Trumbo of Threnody. Threnody has released their new album titled Rid the Flesh. Also check out their single Choking on Blood. And I got to check this out several times, and I like this single. It reminds me, of course, of old school stuff from the 80s, early 90s. That's when stuff for me was prominent. That's back in my heyday when stuff was really good. Not to say nothing's good today, but I'm just saying back in the day, that was it for me. So, hey guys, Bill and Sean, welcome to the podcast, and glad to have you on here finally.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Not a problem whatsoever. So how you guys doing?
Good. Busy. Yeah, exactly. Keeping busy. Just roaming around like crazy. Yes, between the album and life, man. It's keeps you going. I literally ran to the door to do this. So
So I want to talk about this just a little bit before we get into a little bit in depth of the band for people who don't know you guys, who's going to be listening to this podcast. I like this because this is the old, and when I say this, folks, you got to follow me to come on this little trip with me, Bill and Sean, because it's a little story back in the day. This is when things had to happen this way. You started your group in high school, and then this is what I call the old school garage bands. Like on the weekends or after school, this is what these guys did. You know, hang out, play video games. I'm not talking about like texting or whatever, getting a chat group, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about like hanging out, watching horror movies, doing this shit every day out and on weekends. How special was that to you guys looking back on it right now?
best time of my life, man.
Yep.
Best way. I agree. It's one of those things where everything was raw and real. I mean, it wasn't many distractions. It was literally just, people hung out. And what you talked about music, and you talked about movies, and you just got together and you played music, man. And you would like do it. You'd have a couple guys together, and it's, we heard this guy plays that. Let's get this guy. Let's go talk to him, and you hang out with him a little bit. Make sure he's a good fit with us, and he's not some asshole. And then we just together, and it's like it would be awesome. And then everybody, you couldn't go on the internet and listen to bands, so it was like you would hear so and so had a band, and you would go to their practice space or whatever and check them out and hang out with them, and you just network that way. And it was really cool. Best time of my life, man. I gotta say, I wish it was like that now still, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree, because that's the biggest thing too. Is the difference is we actually got together and discussed music, movies, all that things face to face, talking about things and meeting like-minded people that way. And the internet's cool because you can do that, but people, when it comes to the internet, tend to hide behind the fact that they're on the internet and think the personal part isn't there. And you'll say stuff that's like, dude, you wouldn't talk to me like that face to face. Why are you acting like that? You know what I mean? It's like, so that was a difference. You didn't talk like that around each other because you get your, people wouldn't be hanging out with you anymore if that was the case. Let's put it that way. Keyboard
warriors is what I call them. There you go.
Yeah.
and
even though the internet has its good things, I mean, we're nowhere near be getting the pub that we get now for the band. I mean, the legwork that we used to have to do back in the day was outrageous. But you know, it made it a lot easier in that aspect. So it's good and bad. It's just there's something to be said about that personal contact that we used to have to do back in the day.
And then the mixtapes that you guys was on the other bands and stuff, man. Hanging out at these shows or at school. I mean, God, those were the days.
Oh yeah, you would go to the record store and you would buy albums for like, this is a really cool ass cover. Yeah. You get it home. And it's like, you discover one song and, well, this is really good, and then next thing you know, that's how you discovered bands back then. So
yeah. That's how
this looks scary.
Exactly, dude. That's how I discovered Dangerous Toys. Is I bought one of their albums because of the album cover art, and I was like, not at all.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. I mean, that's what's. I think that's one of the things that really attracted me to death metal, because I was really into like. Not tons of comics, but I used to really like Eerie and Creepy magazine. I don't know if you remember those, but they were black and white magazines of illustrated horror. You know what I mean? It was like Tales from the Crypty kind of shit, but it was a little bit more edgy. You know what I mean? Like it was horror, but I used to love that shit. And their covers were like killer artwork, like Frank Frazetta and all these guys. And some of the death metal albums that started coming out would have like covers like that. And I was like, oh, this is killer. You know what I mean? What's this? But the music might not fit it eventually. Sometimes be like, what the hell is this? But, I was caught up in that kind of stuff too. So, sure.
So the band took a hiatus in the early years. Did you just need to recharge, or was it just life in general coming into play?
I whatever, you can jump in there if you want to, but like,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
It kind of happened where like, we were kind of pushing and we were young. I mean, we were super young. You're talking 15 to 17, age time frame there. And we had no idea what the hell. We're just rolling with it, and we're kind of growing a little bit. We're doing things. And what ends up starts happening is that you just make goofy decisions, and you have no money. You're broke. You have the equipment that you have as your equipment. We struggle for practice spaces. And then our equipment got stolen, and then we're just all kinds of shit like that would start happening. And then just like individual personal things. Well, I'm not, people's mindsets are in a different place, and they just do it. And they we just kind of were like, we're going to take this break. I hung on as long as I could. Rich, the drummer, he was the catalyst. I mean, he kept going. He just kept going till he couldn't go anymore. And then, that's when it ultimately stopped. I mean, I had left. I went into the military for a couple of years, and then Sean ended up coming back in again. Well, it was just like this like weird thing, but it just got to the point where it was like we just couldn't do it. I mean, at some point it was just, all right, somebody needs to make a fucking decision here. Are we gonna live in a cardboard box, or are we gonna like doing it? It was just one of those deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was I dropped my guitar in Rich's basement on the cement and the neck broke. So from that point on, I was borrowing people's guitars, and that became like a pain in the ass. And at 17, I'm just like, I'm trying to deal with, I have a fairly unstable home life going on at the time. I got high school, my senior year of high school, I couldn't have given a shit by that point, which sounds horrible, but that's the way I was at the time because of everything else. And then I'm in the band, and I'm like, I have no guitar, and my girlfriend breaks up with me. There's all the teenage bullshit you can think of. And it was just like, and then so I wasn't showing up at times or whatever. And I got kicked out because I wasn't around. I wasn't around. So, the band kind of went on, and then they sort of fizzled out. I came back like a year later because Rich was still doing it with like dudes that nobody else in the band was from the original band other than Rich.
Yep.
And then I came back, and we were playing for a while, and I got Dave back, who was the original bass player and lyricist and stuff. But it kind of just fizzled out because everybody was just kind of like 18, 19 years old and just kind of fucked up. I don't know how to explain it then. It was just like, I need to figure something out with my life. I need to do this, whatever. And it's just like, and Bill, Dave, and I, then we were actually in a band after that too. up until like 96 and then until 97. And then that was it really.
Yeah, and then we just took a break. Okay, I did some stuff after that, but and then just like little projects like that, and then it was kind of like, okay, let everybody just kind of did life. Dave moved to California, you know, fucking we just all kind of scattered for a while and just did life. And then, you know, led us to this, I guess.
Yeah, the pandemic led us to
pandemic, absolutely. That's what started it.
But how good does it feel to be back at Threnody, though, to put out your old stuff or new stuff as under the name Threnody? How good does it feel, though, guys, to be back as that nucleus?
I love it.
Awesome.
It's like rekindling first love or something.
It is. I feel like a kid. I really do. When we do stuff, I feel like a kid again. I'm playing. I don't feel like a kid physically when I was first learning the songs again. It took a while to get back into like playing shape, but you know, playing and then practicing a lot kind of comes back. And I, you know, Bill and I both talk all the time. I mean, Bill and I have been in contact and friends since the stuff ended, you know what I mean? Whatever. Like we've just been doing little goofy music projects and all that kind of stuff, you know, music stuff. But this was like different. It was like, you know, at first I wasn't sure we could do it. And then it started rolling and like I was like, I think we can actually do this. And then, you know, to be able to do it and hear it and have it sound like what we wished it would have sounded like 30 years ago is like, oh man, you know, it's awesome. So
and here's the good part though, man. You don't have to borrow nobody's fucking guitar now.
No, that thank God. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sure. Now that's the difference is we're not broke, we're just old, you know. So
yeah. God damn it, you got to trade one in for the other all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Money or age. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Shit. You know.
Yeah. Gotta have one or the other, so half.
Hey,
so
man,
how?
Keep doing it as long as I can physically keep doing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
How crucial is it, guys, to still stay true to the old school doom metal ways of Threnody? How crucial is it to stay to those roots, possibly, or maybe no?
I mean, for us, I think what really got us was like Bill and I, like I said, we've been playing all the time and we have like a sound. I don't know how to explain it, but when Bill and I play together, even when we're playing different genres, it's like we have a certain sound and I don't know how to explain it as guitar players, the way we play off each other and stuff. So when we did this, we knew that we wanted it to sound heavier. We wanted to have a certain, our tuning to be a certain tuning throughout and a certain sound and what we wanted to get from it. And then Dave coming in was huge because lyrically he completely redid the vocal arrangements and the lyrics to an extent that it just completely lifted the songs from what they were. Like, I mean, it has the same feel, the songs, because it's the same structure, the same riffs, all that kind of stuff, but the lyrics and the vocal arrangements that he did were like way beyond what we were capable of back in those days. So I don't know what, you know, Bill thinks too, but that's kind of where I feel.
I've answered this question a couple times, and I think the way it goes is I don't really honestly think about it. I mean, when we just write stuff, we just write stuff, and if it sounds cool, that's what we're doing. This sounds cool. This fit. I don't like if I sit there and we're like writing a tune. This has got to sound like what we sounded like. No, it's just what we sound like. I mean, it's you know, and the fact that maybe that's just what we like is we like that. I like to play what I like to listen to. So
I listen to our stuff. I don't know if that probably sounds horrible and narcissistic, but I write music that I want to listen to. Like so, like when Bill and I write stuff. We write stuff that we want to listen to. So we'll write music and I'll listen to my music because I like what I wrote. I don't know. So, you know, other people that like it, that's awesome. That's what's great when people are like, you know, that you really like the music. Like, that's cool, man. You know, it's like, that's really cool, you know.
And granted, it changes, you know, it'll your style of your playing style may change as you mature as a musician, you know, but it still has the same kind of sound, feel to it, I guess, if that makes sense.
How excited are you both to have this new album, Rid the Flesh, released at this time, man? How good does it feel to have this out finally?
It feels like it was surreal at first, to be honest. I mean, it was because like when to give you a little background on how it started, So I had this brainiac idea because I travel for work constantly. And I had this brainiac idea. It's like, I'm always out on the road and everybody's scattered. I was like, let me go. Maybe everybody still plays. I knew everybody in the band still had played instruments, doing stuff. And I was like, maybe I can get everybody together now that we have the capability of doing this in our house and record and do these things. Let me go around and see if I can recruit everybody to do this. So I went state to state, and I discussed it with Sean Hay because it was the first one I went to. You think you can do this? You think we could pull this off? I don't know. Yeah, I think we can do it. And so we just went I went state to state and recruited. I mean, we started out with our original singer. There was a other guitar player we had for a little while, but it just didn't work out that way. And it was always meant to be me and Sean anyway. So that's just the way it goes. But we tried to piece it all together, and everybody was in, and it just started going. And we did like a test run with like this one cover song, and we did that, and the singer was able to pull it off, and we were like, holy shit, we can do this. And it just kind of grew from there. And to have it, when it finally got done, when we the funny thing is when we took it, we approached the machine to mix or master this thing. And when we did that, it was like, and we said, yeah, I'll do it. We were like, holy shit. Okay. What the fuck? What, just for us? All right. So like he did it. And when we got that final fucking copy back, dude, it was like, I can't believe we pulled this shit off. Like we did it through a pandemic, through a couple of us getting fucking COVID, all this fucking shit. And we pulled it off. It was just, it felt like we finally finished something that we were supposed to fucking finish 30 years ago. So
kind of like a redemption for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It was like,
rolling the stone, man. That was weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like, it felt like, was it a huge accomplishment? Because it was like something that's like, we never got that done. Even in the other bands put a demo out or whatever, but we never like put an album out and like wanted it to sound the way we wanted it to sound and did all that stuff. So like to be able to pull that off during the pandemic and, everybody in their own little worlds and stuff was like insane. I was so, I couldn't believe it when it was done. It was like, holy shit, I can't believe this happened,
Fucking did it.
So, yeah.
So
totally.
what led the track Choking on Blood to be the first track released off this, man? What was it about that song that said that has to be the first one that comes out for us swinging?
To me, I thought it was one of the ones that it was like the first mix of like first of all, it was one of the first Threnody songs. That and Crib Death were one of the first two. And then Choking on Blood was one of the first, that and probably Internal Festations where I had some input on it as well. So it's like it just kind of, it was just a good one. It's a good song. I mean, we all liked it. We just had a good feel to it. And when Dave did the vocal line to it, it just had this feel. And it was like, man, this one's got to be the flagship for this one. It's like, there's not one song in there you don't like, but that was the one that just seemed that, for me, had like a feel of where we're going. I mean, we made like a little video for it and stuff. But yeah, that was the feel for that one.
I love the freaking video because at the beginning you've got that OVHS tape of you guys playing live, and then all of a sudden it kicks into this. I thought, now that's awesome. You pay homage to where you came from. And I thought that was so cool, man. I had just that little clip there and say, come on in and see what else we got.
Yeah, if I only had that youthful look in the hair again, man.
Yeah, I wish I still had that hair for sure.
I could hide behind it when we played.
At least
that was what was nice.
And take it off when I got to do other shit.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So are these all brand new songs or songs that didn't make a previous album back in the day or an EP possibly? Or these songs that are just being remastered from you guys?
So these are a mix of the two demos. Well, one released demo and one unreleased demo. So we released the demo in, what was it,
1990?
Yeah, not kids. You're always good with the dates. But
December of 1990? No.
that did a demo called Internal Infestation. So Crib Death, Internal Infestation, and Choking on Blood came from that one. Then we worked on a project called Rid of Flesh Maggot Feast, which was going to be our second one that we're doing. And that's where we wrote Maggot Feast, Picking at Slaw, Dissected Infected, Rid of Flesh, obviously. and Cess Remnants were all written on that one. So we decided like we never got to finish the second one. It went to more sound back in the day, but never got finished. It was all that kind of shit going on. So we decided, let's fucking take the songs that we like the most out of them and combine them and make a full length and go from there. So we kind of, like Sean said, the lyrics are and the vocals lines are different now because we, a little more mature as musicians and the way we do things. And we kind of like spruced up some of the riffing at times and some of the way we did some transition things and stuff. But for the most part,
Tightened it up pretty much.
Yeah, the most part they're almost identical, other than the way the vocal lines are as they were back then.
Yeah, it's the same structure, same riffs, just like I said, tightened up a little bit. That our riffing is a little tighter than we were when we were 16, 17 years old.
But here's the $1 million question though, guys. When you go back and listen to those old tracks like that, do you cringe a little bit? Go, what was I thinking? What the hell were we thinking about there?
Oh, and that first demo, I mean, we weren't even in tune. I was like slightly out of tune. So like there's times where we're holding like notes and it's like
shit. It was just and it sounded like it was
the ideas were there, but the money and the time wasn't. That's the problem. We played live. We always sounded good live and we were practicing. I don't know. We didn't take our time when we went in there to do that demo and that we were rushed and broke. It was just like we had, time was money that time. So it's just like, we got to just lay it down. So
back then you recorded on 2-inch reel to reel. There was no fucking digital shit. It was actual.
Cut that shit, man.
Yeah, punching in and shit. It was all right, guys, you ready? So.
But the cool part is about that's what makes the best memories ever.
Oh, I still remember being in the studio during that time. I was smoking Marlboros and drinking icy tea. I think I was completely famished and
sugar and
starved. Yeah, man. Things I don't even do anymore. You know what I mean? I was living on it at that time. But
that's great. I love to hear these backstories because, like I said, man, that's when it was absolutely fun. You didn't have a care in the world, didn't know where it was going to go, and all you guys were worried about was getting the women, playing some music, and having a good time. That's it.
That sounds about right. That was
that was it. I mean, that was we grew up in those days. I remember going into ninth grade of high school and shit. When I first started playing guitar and stuff, being like, I'm gonna be a fucking rock star. And that's what I wanted to fucking do. It was everybody wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Get out, and it was ultimately you take the choice of a death metal band. Well, I'm not gonna be no fucking rock star being in a death metal band, but shit, I like this music. It fucking does something for me. It's like
I saw Metallica on the Injustice for All tour when I was 15 years old, and I thought I'd seen the Clouds part or something. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. I was I was in awe. I could not believe. I knew at that moment because I was I liked metal, some of the metal stuff like Slayer, but I had never seen anybody live yet, and it was the first. I can't even describe how that changed my life seeing that show. Where it was just that is what I want to do. I was just I
started playing guitar.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
It's like when they played, it was that anger. It was that fast thrash.
And they were
bass, and
they were
what they were saying is they meant exactly every fucking word they were saying.
Oh, I felt it. Even if they didn't mean it, it felt like it to me. You know what I mean? It was just I felt that shit.
It's like you had Guns N' Roses, who was the band nobody wanted to hang out with.
I love that first album.
You didn't know what the hell was going to go on, and then here comes then they release Lies, Lies a couple years later. Then Metallica comes on the scene with One, and just kicked Guns N' Roses' ass and said, "Get away,
dude,
shoe fly."
It's funny because when you think about all the albums back then, I mean, the chunk of music that. What we were subjected to as new releases, when you think about Master of Puppets, you think of Rain and Blood, you think of fucking, even South of Heaven, you think of, shit, you go to Megadeth and go to Peace Cells, all those albums that came out while we were trying to figure out what the fuck. And the music that was given to us on a plate was insane, compared to, granted, there's some good shit out there now. I mean, there is, but it was a different time frame of an era of music. It was almost like staples of music because these bands back then that were coming out with those albums, they're iconic fucking albums now. I don't know iconic albums now. I don't know. I guess 20 years from now we'll figure that out. But
It's like,
Yeah.
it was like, I'm sure you guys were the same way I was. I was a music junkie.
dude,
It's like, give me every fucking heavy metal album that there was, good or bad. I didn't care. I wanted it because I wanted to taste it, see what I liked and what I didn't like and why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the traditional metal, the screaming and stuff like that, some I like, some I don't like. Now, I mean,
I'm the same way.
like Judas Priest. Oh, I could never get enough of Judas Priest.
No, I like Priest.
The way Halford sings, man, and I go try to listen.
Yeah,
to
no,
that.
I like Priest.
It's like I can't do it. It's like, no, you're not Halford. Just calm down.
No, I agree with you. There's certain dude. It's just, you know, it's a certain taste. You know,
Exactly.
it's a weird thing. We always look for. I know as for myself, it's like as a kid, when I was really young, you know, I get introduced to like ACD, shit like that. We started like, okay, that's cool. It had a feeling to me of like, you know, it was like, well, this is different.
nasty.
And then it just the appetite for something being like heavier and groovier would always be there. And it was like, then you started getting into the shit. Then there's a teen, like you said, you know, the Metallicas and the Guns N' Roses. And we all are like many genres of music. So it was like, we were just there. And as musicians, we had this, like in a band, we had this thirst of like, how do you get, is it heavier? Can we get heavier? And then one of the stories we always tell as a band that it's fucking hilarious is, you know, it goes back to finding those tapes in the record store. And we all go to the record store the one time and we fucking get this tape. And we're like, what is this? It's Obituary. And we fucking go in there and we get in the car, we put this shit in, and it was like the beginning of fucking
slowly rotted.
And it was like, it made the hair stand on the back of your neck. It was like, what the fuck is this? You know, it was crazy because it was like, holy shit, how do we get like that? How do we get heavy?
Yeah.
Down? It just platoon from there, man.
Then you get like Overkill and Testament and all these other bands.
We saw them in concert back in
all of them.
Overkill, yeah.
Testament, Nuclear Assault, all those bands.
That's what we started out as, a thrash band. I mean, that's what we sounded like when we first started playing. Was thrash, was like in the vein of Testament, all those guys. And then, like I said, we started hearing some of these death metal bands come out. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yep.
You know, and they were down tuned and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, this is really heavy. You know,
level of
this is a little different. This is really heavy. What the hell is this? You know, so that's what started that. But I still liked the thrash as well. It was just like another thing that was like, oh, I was just trying to, like Bill said, it just like that search for finding something that's heavy, like, holy shit, that's heavier than that one is. You know, it's like, so it was fun back then because it was like a search.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Search. Yeah. Fucking what's this? You get a lot of duds and some gems in there. But
Exactly.
It was the fun of doing it, which was great.
So on these EPs that you had out, you took these songs for Rid the Flesh, but I got to know, was there a track that you were working on this that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to when it was on the other EPs? Was there one that just changed so much? Maybe.
A lot of them.
Which one?
I was gonna say one of them was Dissected Infected, because that was barely a song. Like there were barely any lyrics in that song. Like when we did it, it was almost like just a giant bunch of riffs, and there were some vocals here and there. So that was one of them. Like just from that standpoint. But I'm trying to think.
I mean, I think the stuff, all three of the songs that came from internal, I just
like you know, Choking on Blood doesn't even sound like the same song.
No,
the way like Dave wrote those lyrics for it now, I'm like, it's funny because nothing changed in that song other than the way he arranged and did the vocals, and it's like it completely changed the way the song sounds. Like way for the better. It sounds like a different song almost. It's just like, well, that's what it was supposed to sound like. Okay.
And we always that was always our issue, because even with our original singer, we wanted him to be a part of this and he couldn't, but we wanted him to be part of this. But his original, like back then when we were like, he wasn't a death metal singer at the time. He was doing like it. He sounded awesome and he could do his thing, but we just never we could never get it to be where we wanted it to be. And nor did we know what the fuck we were doing, to be honest. So it was like, we could write music, we could get these songs to sound cool, but it took, fucking years of us doing other things and soaking in growing as musicians to be able to get to even this point. So it's just, like I said, I think for me, those 3 songs that were off, off Eternal were just like, what the fuck? They sound like completely different.
Yeah, Crib Death too. Like, and that was like the first Threnody song. That was the first song I ever wrote.
Yeah.
And the way the lyrics are on it now, and Todd had a lot to do with that too. Yeah. Like that's sort of the way that was arranged. Like it just sounds like, it's like, damn it, that's what that song was supposed to sound like. You know what I mean? Like it was, because it was, like I said, it was my baby. I never, that was my first song I ever wrote as a musician. So it was just like, oh, awesome. And to hear these songs become what they were on this album, like for Bill and I too, it's just like, it's like you finally got that guy off, it's like, this is what it was supposed to sound like. Awesome. This is great. Yeah, exactly. Smack that baby on the ass and send it home. Is that what?
Look, I know you guys just mentioned this. I know these songs are your babies, but are there any tracks standing out more to you guys than any right now on this album? Like I said, I know this is a full circle come around of a redemption album for you guys. And I know you guys are close to it, but are there any that stick out for the both of you?
Man, it's tough. If I had to pick a favorite, what my go-tos on that are probably that I always listen to. Jeez, man, I do like Maggot Feast. I like listening to that one, and I do like
playing that one.
Yeah, playing that one. It's interesting, but shit, man, it's funny because I don't. To be totally honest, when I go to listen to it, it's not.
I listen to it front to back.
I listen from front. I don't listen.
So do I.
I don't listen to Maggot Feast, or I'm going to listen to that. But
yeah,
I have favorites to play. Like my favorite to play is probably between Picking It Slow and Maggot Feast.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, listening wise, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly listen to the thing front to back every time I listen to it. But that's because of trying to, relearn the songs and play them again. I feel like listening to them and playing them over and over again, physically playing them over and over again. It's become like muscle memory. So it's like, I want to feel like if I get out there to play, I'm not going to be out there and freeze up. I'm just going to be like, that the thing goes on, click, I'm going, so it's like, that's kind of where I tend to listen to the whole album for some reason, So
any tracks that didn't make this album, guys, we could see on another album down the road, or an EP from you guys, or just maybe just newer songs down the road, and just leave everything back in the back.
Oh yeah, we have a little stockpile of stuff that we're working on for another EP or / album, whichever it turns out to be. So it's that one's going to probably include, some leftover songs that we wanted that didn't make it on this one, and then it's probably hopefully something new, So we'll just see how it goes. I mean, it's a work in progress right now. We're focused on. We have some shows coming up, so we're focused on like just making sure because of us all living in different areas, making sure we're all on the same page when it comes to those shows. Get that done. But it has been going on in the background with all the other material that we were looking at. So yeah, there's definitely more to come for sure.
So this album was produced by you guys in-house. Do you guys like having that freedom to do that, or do you eventually want to get with a producer?
I would like to get with a producer, but still be able to help, like do what we did. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I would like to have somebody else's, I would love to next time if we work with the machine again, to actually have him have some input in some things and toss ideas around and stuff, because I mean, the guy's got a wealth of knowledge that he could totally, I wasn't thinking of that. That sounds fucking great. Or maybe he doesn't, I don't know, but I'd like to hear that, So, I mean, from my point of view, I would totally be open to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, cause it's sometimes it's good to hear outside ideas for your stuff. You know what I mean? Like for us, we already knew what we wanted to do with this or whatever, but especially with like writing new stuff and whatnot, I kind of, it'd just be interesting to hear somebody, an outsider's take on it, even if I don't agree with it, it's, something, I mean, they might pop an idea that's like, shit, I didn't even think of that, man. That's a good idea, So, for us, especially with this, we were like, it was more like, I don't want to say like a triage, but we were really working hard just to get it to sound like the one that we were recording them properly and doing everything properly. Cause it was like Bill and I started getting it down. Like I had been recording on my computer for a while. So I kind of had a good idea how to do it. Bill took to it pretty quick as well. But then you have different levels of people having abilities to use technology and whatever. So you're kind of like, you know, it's, yeah, you know what I mean? Making sure everybody's doing the same thing, that you're not like, you know, like all three trying to do different stuff, and then you're getting other tracks from people, you know. So it was like, it was more like you were just trying to keep it together and get it down, that it sounded right, that we're like, okay, this is done. Let's mix this thing now. You know what I mean? So
and granted, on top of that, learning how to fucking play like that.
Play again. I've been playing.
Arm doesn't fucking, my 40-some-year-old arm doesn't work like my 15-year-old arm used to.
Yeah.
You know, like fucking, you just really had to like get back. I mean, I played all this time, but not like that.
No.
You just had to get used to that again.
Jesus,
yeah,
that rust factor, man, had to be hell.
Oh, it was insane. I mean, I could imagine, like, I'm trying to think, like, if I was, you know, in my like late 20s or something, and it's just like, fuck, because I had a hard time playing some of that stuff when we were young. And now it's like, let's play it now. You know, I'm like, I'm going to be 50 next year. So it's like, but it was weird because once we started playing and practicing and playing, it was like, I actually wish I could re-record some of the stuff on this album, because I'm a better guitar player now than when we laid those tracks down. So
it's funny, practice does. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Practice. You're talking about practice? Yeah, no, you know, it's practice. Exactly. So, you know,
when we were younger, I mean, like after
practice was playing in the band. That was practice.
Playing in a band. Once I got in a band, my practicing at home stopped, and it was like I practiced in the band. But I mean, we practiced a lot. Don't get me wrong.
And we were tight too as a band because of that.
But I didn't sit at home and play anymore like I used to before I got in a band, because I
wasn't like learning my craft. Yeah, you know what I mean? We were learning our craft at times because we wanted to learn how to play different stuff, but I wasn't at home anymore practicing, and practice was just whatever we came up with it, or you know, at rehearsal or jamming or whatever, you know. So that now I'm actually practicing. I'm like, why didn't you do that when you were 16, you asshole? Yeah. So, you know,
I mean, but like I said, we were good live. We were tight live.
Yeah.
And we hung our hat on that because it was always important to us.
Sure.
It still is. So, you know, it was, we would play our shit so many fucking times that it was like, holy shit, man, I could play this in my sleep. You know?
Yeah.
How you do it.
I want to give a shout out to Jorge Aracheta, who did the album.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I mean, this thing.
He's awesome.
I give this a 10 out of 20. I mean, or 20 out of whatever. I mean, this thing is fucking badass. And
amazing. Now I have to touch base on that because the original artwork, and I got to give the guy credit. So I have it actually tattooed on me, but the guy pulling the face was done by a guy I went to high school with. His name was Andy Dorn. He's still an artist now. I'm sure you can find his shit out there, but he drew that original picture. We gave it to Jorge, and fucking man, I mean, I was like, we gave him a couple ideas, like, can you do something like this?
Well, and he mixed our old one, which was done by a friend, Tate Kapelski.
Yes.
He did the original album cover, so we wanted to blend those two and make this new one. And I mean, that dude, he's done other stuff for us too. It's killer. So it's, you know.
Wait till you see the second album cover. No.
Exactly. I love that one. I almost wish it's like when we got that one from him, like, oh man, I wish this was this one. And he did a really good job on this other one. I love it.
It's a beautiful piece of artwork. If you like horror stuff or just like full colors and things, man, this is great. This is really good.
And horror comics and stuff. It reminds me of almost like horror comic graphic art, like comic stuff. Yeah. It's like, I dig that stuff. So
that's what we actually, because it's so hard to get us all together. When we get together to do these shows and practice, we're going to actually get some recent band photos done, but like, that we're like, well, what can we do? So I asked for, hey, could you do something with her? And that's where he came up with the artist rendering of our, the caricatures of us in the, with the body parts and shit, which we thought was cool.
I love that. When I saw that for the first time, I was like, that is awesome. I'd love to have me in something like that where I do my podcast and I've got everything in one. That would be cool to have.
He would do it. Yeah, he would do it.
He's quick and he's just really good, man. That guy.
So I got to know this, guys. What's the growth musically that you've seen from yourselves going back and rehashing these songs? I mean, personally, what's the musical growth that you've seen, if anything, or has it just gotten rougher?
I mean, I want to say growth wise is because of the fact, I think when we're doing some of the new stuff that we're like messing around with, and we kind of added it in, like I said, like there's these pepperings of new things in the old stuff that we just did, but it's more like just like a matured playing, because we listen to different stuff. I mean, over the 30 years, I mean, there were good stretches of years there where I wasn't really listening to a lot of metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd like have to take a break and I was listening to just whatever, you know what I mean? I'm like, I go on these classic rock kicks where I'm like the Beatles, I'm like a Beatles freak. I love that kind of stuff. So I get into that stuff, and then I'm into metal, and then I'm into like grunge. I mean, I like the Seattle stuff too. I was a big fan of that shit. So I like that stuff too. So I listened to Alice in Chains and stuff like that. So I just, it's kind of like that kind of shit, but that's where adding some like more like musicality into the music, instead of just being like raw balls to the wall. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of like, we had a little bit more of it here for like the musical part of things. Yeah, exactly. And songwriting maybe. So
yeah, that was always the key. I think that's the big difference from then to now is like I said, the growth as a musician of just playing my instrument better, like paying more attention to things that I do with my instrument, easier ways to play my instrument.
Yeah, just technique.
The shit out of my instrument all the time. It's like, I can't now. So now it's like, how do I play this easier? You know what I mean? There's easier ways to do this shit. And it's come to that. And it's made it better, like to make better riffs, I guess, or to do
totally.
They're more flowing and different things you can do. And I never would have thought of 30 years ago. Just 30 years ago, I was like, how hard can I play? And
exactly. How hard can I hit this fucking thing? Like a jackhammer. Okay.
Now I was like, I don't even remember the last time I broke a fucking string.
Exactly. And breaking a string back in those days was fucking the end of the day. Well, I broke a string. It's over.
Fucking done, man.
No,
I don't have any extra strings.
In Sean's case, it's like, hey, you got a string I could borrow, man, like guitar?
Yeah. Dude. I mean, you're hoping one of the bands that's around you has a pet set of strings.
Yeah. There was no two guitars. It was fucking one piece of shit. And if that fucking broke, show's over, man.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys hope that everyone takes away while listening to this new album, or just any of Threnity's music in general? What do you guys hope they get from it, or just feel from it at all? Anything?
I from my point of view, I guess what I hope is that it kind of just puts a little statement like, this is what we were doing 30 years ago. 30 years ago, this is what the fuck we were doing, and it was like, to us back then, it was like, man, this shit, we liked it. It was like, this is the thing. And we always wanted to be able to share it with everybody on this kind of level. And it was like, man, this shit is 30 years old and it's getting reception now. So I was like, man, I just want people to enjoy it as much as we enjoy it. And I'm hoping that's what's happening. At least it feels like that way. And it's not the end of the road. We're going to keep going, but that was it's just to be able to like finally put out there what we believed in, just to like, we believed in this back then, and now we're able to express it to everybody. That's my biggest take from it.
Yeah. No, because I was like, my thing when I see people, like, it almost like it goes two ways, because I'm like one of those people that also like, are you sure that it's that good?
Yeah, right.
Like, like I did something, I'm like, I don't know, man, that sounds like shit. Like anything I do, I am like, I kill myself. So, but back in the day, I was like that too. But the further I got away from it, the more I realized I was like, people really like that shit. Like people talked about us in the area, and they like, it was almost like we were becoming like a myth that happened back in the day. You know what I mean? Like there was this band Threnody, and they were really good, man. It's just like, okay. So getting this out there and then having the reception, like Bill said, that people do like it. And it's like, it's coming from people that I respect too, that are like, dude, I like this. And I'm like, wow, maybe we were good. All right. Like it almost is like now at this age, like reminding me like, no, dude, you were doing all right back then, man. it was cool. It's cool that way, like to see that. I don't know.
And that takes it back to what we talked about earlier. It was just that we fucking finished it. We finally, and it was like we originally started this. It was only just going to be for us. It was going to be, let's do this just so we can finish it, man. We have all these tunes. We have the capability to do it. Let's fucking finish these songs and just have it for us. And when we finished it, like, oh shit, this is all right. Maybe we should release this. And that's how it got to here. So
I gotta say this though. Look at this, guys. It's 30 fucking years. And I see the happiness in your guys' faces when you're talking about finally getting this shit out. I mean, look how happy you guys are. This is
I know. It's probably the best I felt in like years. I'm not joking. Like fucking years, man.
Yeah, it's like a proud papa moment.
It's exactly
exactly. Oh no, totally. I just look at him. Look at my boy. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy because like it's like we just went through like a couple of years of like shit with like the pandemic and stuff. It was not fun, and it's like doing something like this and being like having like these good things coming from it, and it's great, man.
It's brought back some like relationships from like
totally,
which is killer. I mean, we all kind of scattered, and like I said, we did there, but now we're like all talking again, and it's like this crazy. It's fucking just been a really cool experience.
It's like that ever revolving door that I say. The music keeps coming back around. So maybe this wasn't just a bullshit of a thing. Maybe this was kind of meant to be thing for you guys to finish and carry on and make new stuff for Threnody.
Oh yeah, no, totally, man. Because that was the thing we were like. We keep saying too. It's like when we started doing this, I didn't know there was such thing as OSDM, old school death metal. I had no clue. I was not connected into the death metal thing that's going on or nothing. It was just like, I listened to some of the bands I used to listen to that would put stuff out like Carcass and whatnot, but I was not like deep in the scene of what's going on in that, like the extreme metal stuff. So I was just like, yeah, let's do it, whatever. And as it was going, I was like, hey, this fucking sounds good. Like, I think we could do something with this. And, here we are. And it's like, like you said, it almost feels like, it's like, you telling me that old school death metal is a thing that's coming around, that's big now again, and we're doing this right now. Okay. And then it's like this thing just keeps sort of like, it's this roll that just keeps, I'm like, all right, what's next? What do we do? So I'm like, but it's fun. It makes me want to keep doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, fuck, this is great. This is fun. So,
And that's the whole point, right? The whole point of the whole thing is, as long as it's fun, we'll just keep doing it.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's not fun, we're fucking done. I don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm too old for that shit. I'm not going to do stuff that's not fun.
But it's fun, and I like, I love doing shit with these dudes. So it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, if I can fucking do this for the rest of my life, I'm going to do it for the rest of my fucking life because I like doing it.
I know you both have a lot of music still to this day, and I know you had it when we were younger. But do you still have that go-to album or maybe a song that you find yourselves going back to and listening to from time to time that you have to listen to? You cannot kick it out. You've got to have it.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends.
Sure.
If you're talking our genre of music and that, because I mean, I listen to so much stuff, but if it's our type of music, I fucking love Necroticism by Carcass. I love that fucking album, and I listen to it almost once a week at this point. I just do. And then, but then there's other, Jesus, man, there's so many different genres of shit I listen to. I mean, I love listening to Pink Floyd. I love listening to, it's like, there's so many different things that that's always been a thing where it's like, well, what do you listen to all the time? It depends on what mood I'm in when I get up in that day.
Sure.
And some days I won't listen to anything. It might be all mellow. And other days, like, I want to run my head into the wall and I'm pissed off or something. I'm listening to all fucking death metal. It really changes. Shit, dude. I fucking even listen to like rap and R&B at times. So it's like, I listen to a lot of shit. So it's just one of those, it's like, it's weird. I'm probably gonna get slack for that, but fucking fuck it, man. That's what I listen to.
You like what you like, man. Everybody has their own different cups of teas every day.
That's absolutely.
There's two probably. I love Symphonies of Sickness by Carcass. And I love Master of Puppets by Metallica. I can listen to that fucking album over and over, like on a loop. I don't give a shit. If it's non-metal, probably, I know it's like I said, it's either Abbey Road by the Beatles or Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy by Elton John. So those are my, I was brought up on that stuff. My mom would listen to that stuff on her stereo when she was cleaning the house when I was a kid playing Atari on a Saturday morning and shit. I'm sitting there playing Atari and she's got Elton John or Billy Joel or the Beatles or whatever playing. So that's, I'm listening to that stuff and, playing fucking, Attack on Atari or something. So
here's a crazy known fact about Kirk Weinstein from Crowbar. He is a huge Elton John fan.
No shit. That's cool. No, that was my first concert ever. My mom took me to see Elton John when I was 3 years old in 1976 at the fucking Spectrum. So
Elton John can still him out, man. He can still fucking play it.
Well, that's the thing. I give a dude credit that can, do as much, write the music that he did. He's a genius, especially for back in the day. But to write that kind of music, do that much drugs and alcohol and still be alive and playing right now is like, all right, man, good for you, dude. You can retire now. So
check.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm retired. Check. There you go. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. All right, guys. How can folks stay in touch with Threnody? Buy this new album that's out right now, Rid the Flesh. How can they do that, guys?
Couple places. Main place is our Bandcamp page has links to everything. So if you go to our Bandcamp page, it's Threnody 1991. You'll see. I mean, there's links there for everything. I just linked our shows coming up. They're on there. All our socials are linked on there and you can buy the album, you can buy merch. Everything is on our Bandcamp page. If I direct anybody to one location, that would be the place to go.
And before
he's the guy.
Before I let you guys go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
I would love to. This is Bill.
This is Sean from Threnody, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. You definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube link because I'm growing and I need the subscriptions. And plus, I just like folks to come in and check out the interviews. I do great work. I do great interviews. And hey, I'm laying it down, folks. You definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube page and click that notification bell. Please get out and check out Threnody. Grab this new album, Rid the Flesh. It's a 30th anniversary album, pretty much, from what these guys done back in the day. And give it a shot. I know for a fact you guys will like it. Also, just to throw in here real quick, I'm an affiliate with Metal Incorporated, Forum Obscura, which is a online magazine that has obscure art and band reviews, music reviews, stuff like that, and Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast with Dan and Josh. Love my guys. They know exactly what they're talking about Ozzy. They know everything about it, and definitely want to check that out. And Sean and Bill, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck with this, and great interview, and I'll welcome you back anytime, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, man. I appreciate you taking the time. And thanks for the shout out. Definitely a shout out to Metal Incorporated as well. This wouldn't be even possible. I wouldn't even.
We'll have to talk about horror too at some time.
Oh, we definitely. Yes, Sean. Yes. Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, man.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.